Привit, greetings from Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. I'm here on Reshatik, which is the main thoroughfare through the city center. And normally, all around here would be thronged with people, but today is around day 150 of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And there are less people and almost no international tourists here in Ukraine. And there are almost no guys doing something that is called day game, and that would basically involve them pursuing the lovely ladies of Kiev as they walk along here, along this street, also on this more pedestrian part to my right, and they would in fact pester them, to be blunt about it. So that is something that we are spared in the summer of 2022, in spite of the horrific consequences of this war for Ukraine. So if you are a guy who is doing day game or street pickup in the summer of 2022 as a way to meet women, you are a bit of a loser. And in this video, I'm going to explain why and what you can do instead to meet women. Поехали!
If there's a king of Instagram, I think that anyone who's ever been on the site long enough will be able to tell you it's Dan Bilzerian. From being the inspiration for literally half of all the guys on the internet, to being the person with the highest hot women to guy ratio on the site, it seems as though everyone's a little intimidated by the guy.
So as you're watching this video, I want you to think about whether Dan Bilzerian would walk around the streets of Kiev or LA or anywhere else looking to meet women. Now I know Dan Bilzerian is going to get a big reaction, not everybody loves him, but he does illustrate a point with his very high-level social circle. He's out networking with other high-level guys, also surrounded by very beautiful women, and all that is going on his Instagram, which is a great way to procure new contacts. So love it or hate it, social media has become a massive phenomenon in the last 10 years, and that includes how you demonstrate value, whether you're a guy or a girl. And in fact, it has also become really important in terms of dating. Now, I'm not saying that possibly Dan Bilzerian, when he was dramatically lower value in the past than he is today, that he might not have walked around some city aiming to meet girls and stopping them doing day game. But really, do you think that's what he focuses on when he has his social circle and his social media cued in? I doubt it as well. We're actually in a shopping mall right now, so there should be a lot of opportunities to meet girls, and I'm super pumped to see how we get on, James.
Yeah, you seem excited.
Yeah.
It's definitely not anything else.
Let's see how we get on.
Just woke the girl with a laptop. Can you see her at the back? She's going out. She's sitting out.
Okay, let's go. Здравствуйте. Я смотрел тебя и думаю, что ты очень интересно. Вот я хотел пообщаться чуть-чуть. Connor, меня зовут. Married. He's a lucky man.
Thanks.
Now, if you're not new to my channel, you might know that about 3 years ago, I shot a video on day game in St. Petersburg in Russia with James Tusk. And we went around and basically I did 5 approaches in English and 5 approaches in Russian. And actually, I was pretty positive about the experience because I had an hour of my time and made one good contact. And yeah, I thought that's probably not a bad way to go. If you arrive in a new city and you want a few extra options, it's 1 hour investment of your time. But a very strange thing happened. After I did the video, and I'll link it up above and the card down below in the description, a month went by, 3 months went by, 6 months went by, and I never did day game again. So why was that? If it wasn't such a negative experience in doing it? Well, I just didn't need to do it, I realized. I was never in a situation where I didn't have other options. And there's a myriad of different options that you can use. I mean, some of them are, of course, night gamers, going out clubbing, bars, socializing, hanging out in the right social circle, for example. Of course, we got all the dating apps. And, you can strike up a conversation in the cafe. And when I say day game, I mean purposely going out for hours on end and stopping girls, using all these canned lines in order to strike up conversations and develop some sort of rapport. Now, I'm not saying you should never ever talk to anyone in public. That's not what I'm referring to. I mean, as an actual strategy, investment of your time. And the reality is that it's not a very high value behavior if that's what you end up doing for several hours of the day. And before I circle back into what you can do as an alternative, give you an overview of those, let me say just one thing in favor of day game. I remember when I was back in Ireland, my home country, there was an item on the local radio, and it was this guy who was helping people overcome their shyness. And what he did is, and he was working with both men and women, he got them to go up and say hi to 10 strangers. And what happened is that after they had done it a good few times, they got over their shyness. They realized no one's going to bite them. Most people actually just smile and are polite, so there's no need to be scared. And I think for a lot of people who need or invest in day game, it's actually because, they lack those kind of basic confidence level skills. But the idea of going out for 6 hours and walk around the shopping mall, stopping girl after girl, hundreds of girls, in order to get a phone number, and the reason I'm using air quotes is a lot of the time girls are going to give them a phone number, it's not real, or their Instagram to get an extra +1 followers, but they're not actually interested. They're trying to get rid of the guys a lot of the time. I think I'm being polite about it. But anyways, the rate of success, especially in terms of the quality of women that you're going to meet doing that, is extremely low. And the final proof of that is a lot of these guys who've been selling the idea of day game or street pickup, it started over 10 years ago. When you look at who they settled down with and married, very few of them were what we would describe as highly desirable women. And if you're doing this as a profession and you're not dating basically very top drawer women at the end of the day, then you got to question whether these are high value men using high value tactics.
Let's post up a picture of my girl with these other girls. Ding, 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 ding. Which one stands out as not being like the others? It's like fucking Sesame Street for 5-year-olds. Okay, if you still are in doubt, which I'm sure a lot of you are, and you think that these other busted trash girls have perfect 10 personalities, then you need to check yourself into a psychologist.
So let's get into what you can do as an alternative. I'll just run you through them briefly and how not to be a loser this summer in 2022 in Europe. So many guys are traveling, like now I'm in Kiev in Ukraine, not expecting too many guys to be traveling here this summer with the war, but most of them, the first place they will start is online dating. They're going to dating app. Obviously the most famous is Tinder, and they will go on there and they will start swiping and see what leads they can get. And that is pretty low investment. You just have to set up your profile and then swipe away. You can obviously pay for the premium services to improve your chances there. Now, what's very interesting about Tinder is men tend to, according to the research, swipe right, saying that they want to match, with about 60% of the profiles. Women, on the other hand, are a lot more selective, and they will swipe left most of the time. And in fact, they'll only swipe right affirmatively on, you see lots of figures like top 20% or even top 4%, somewhere in between there probably is the reality. But as you can see, women are only going to swipe really on the top guys on aggregate that they perceive as having the highest value. So that sucks for the guys who are not in that top at least 20%. It could even be outside the top 5%. And for those guys who are in that, well, they have tons of options. So one of the things you'll often hear from these people selling you the idea of doing day game is, oh, online dating sucks, dating apps suck. It means that they are not in that top, whatever it is, 5 to 20% of profiles. Therefore, they don't get those kind of matches, those options from that particular approach. Now, the solution to that is, even if you're not particularly photogenic, just make sure that you're in that top 5 to 20% of your profiles. That's what, of course, I help my clients with when they were coming here to Eastern Europe. In particular, we work on both their Tinder profiles and their Tinder approach strategy, and as a corollary, their Instagram, because Instagram is another way to meet women. It's a little bit similar. We'll say it's a variation, but definitely you need it in order to demonstrate value. So what most of these day gamers are saying when they talk about online dating sucking is the fact that they suck on Tinder or on Instagram because they're not able to demonstrate value, and quite often it's because they don't start off with very much value in the first place. I did say that you could overcome your shyness if you're a shy guy and learn to improve your communicative skills. Very important, and that will help you in all these situations where where you meet people in general, not just women. So the other ways to kind of generate leads or improve your chances of meeting women, in particular higher value women, is, well, you do what's the old, trusted and tested in my home country of Ireland, which is going somewhere at night and socializing. Actually, my own parents met in a pub, very typical Irish story, and you go out and you do what is called, I guess, well, let me run across the street here, night game, or you just go out and socialize at night. Don't have to drink alcohol. I don't encourage people to get absolutely wasted, drunk, never going to be making the best decisions if you're under the influence of heavy amount of alcohol. And there, I used to do that a lot with my clients on the Zara experience. When they came here, we would just have absolutely amazing weekend. We'd go out and party and have a great time. And of course, meet loads of beautiful women while we were doing that. But the main focus there was actually in having a great time, and the women were more or less complementing that. Many of those day gamers, they will refer to gutter game. Yes, really, this is what they do. They don't actually go to the club and socialize, take a table at the club, be the center of the party, and the energy and the positivity. No, they hang around, they loiter around creepily outside the club waiting for girls to leave who are basically inebriated. And then, well, to be quite frank, try to take advantage of them to a certain extent. So that is think about how low value that is as behavior. You are not the guy who's making the party, who's, as you should be, the guy with the center of energy, having a great time, really enjoying yourself, and then passing on that positivity. You're actually just kind of a creep hanging outside looking for kind of, I guess, wounded animals or something. Yeah, so basically that's nightlife. That is the other way to meet people. But, in this our experience, we did that in the positive sense, obviously, going out partying and, meeting tons and tons of beautiful women that way as well. Many of my clients even got married to women that they met clubbing with me. Yes, in spite of all those limiting beliefs that a lot of people have, right, there are no good girls in clubs. Listen, that just means you don't meet good girls in clubs, and that's something that you need to work on to correct, because it's also a skill set. So next up, very often when you're living your life, right? So I had a business, and a lot of my clients have businesses where basically they were able to be location independent, they're doing the work, they have a laptop, they can operate and control their business and their revenue streams from everywhere in the world. And while they are going about their daily business, working on the laptop, picking strategic locations where they are more likely to meet women that they're interested in, the cafe, the gym, the beach club, yes, also can work from beach clubs, and just basically integrating the ability to meet women, higher value women, while they're going around their day. So they're not actually spending 6 hours walking around a shopping mall, just happen to be in the right places at the right time. And then, you have to have the confidence and the communicative skills to be able to introduce yourself to women and create the right dynamics in order to create some sort of rapport. Yeah, that you can do without being a complete weirdo and creep walking around, low value male walking around the shopping mall all day. So that is another way that you can do it. And I think that's a really strong alternative to the day game approach. But yeah, you have to be a guy of high value and actually going around your business and focusing on developing yourself. Let me finish up with what is after, over 10 years of hanging out in Eastern Europe, having clients that I coached in person who actually then moved to Eastern Europe, guys who are very high value, millionaires, guys who have dated top models here, top models in the West, guys who are looking to just take shortcuts in terms of not having to spend so much time in order to get to the results they wanted. Hence why they were hiring me to help them with that. Not guys who are low value and wanting to figure out some, I don't know, it's a bit like a get rich quick scheme, right? You just have to learn day game and woo, stop supermodels will be falling over here. No, they won't, because none of the day game coaches have that reality in the first place. They meet women, the best way to meet the highest level women is, drumroll, through social circle. Yes, social circle. That's because guys like that learn to hang out in high value circles, and as a result the level of trust is very high in such a social circle, and women actually want to be part of that social circle as well. And if you play a role in that, i.e. you provide value within that social circle, which is what obviously I was helping guys with a lot here in Kiev, for example, or Odessa when they moved here over the last 2 or 3 years. They set up their social circle, and that is actually the way that they meet the most beautiful women, the highest level women, the top models, and the really, I would say, better educated, more interesting, as well as beautiful women. That is actually how you do it. But that, of course, takes a certain amount of application and the ability and determination to actually be high value yourself. That is the best way to communicate high value, is actually to be high value and know how to then communicate it. So I would say that after all my years of coaching, helping guys, seeing what works, and hanging out in the right social circles myself, I realized that actually really the best way is social circle. Of course, that's not easy if you just come on a weekend trip to say Kiev, or to St. Petersburg, or to Paris, or wherever you happen to travel, Brazil, to Sao Paulo. You know, it's not so easy to plug into a high-level social circle. That is something that if you are interested in developing, of course I have my consulting link down below, and we can jump on a consultant call and figure out a plan for you. If you don't want to wait any longer and you are determined to develop your social circle and, yeah, not be a loser in 2022, in the summer of 2022, by relying on something as cheesy and as low value as day game street pickup. So that is my video. Probably going to upset a few fragile egos on the internet, but that's just kind of how I feel at the moment. I've been watching a lot of content over the last few weeks, and when I look back at a lot of these guys, especially when they get exposed to what their real level is, who are selling this, I think they were just very good at selling to guys who are probably struggling even to say hello to a girl, and yeah, basically borderline incels. We have the bells here at St. Michael's gold-domed cathedral here in monastery, not cathedral, in Kiev. On further down the street was the Sofia Cathedral. So I'll leave it at that. Do побачення. До свидания from Kiev, Ukraine.
SAR Experience.